Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulamiliktam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Kritam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tanmaitaya Tadavo Benedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Muni Manatusmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parara Lakshai Kiptaschakamadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitram Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Namaste Charanada Vindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, we're going to continue, begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nityaleda Bhavishta Om Vishnupad Asta Tadasata Sri Srimad Abhaya Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and same heartfelt obeisance to Sri Nityaleda Bhavishta Om Vishnupad Asta Tatsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, unto our exalted Rupanuga Guru Varga, and to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Okay. And let me just set this up real quick so it doesn't go off. There we go. There we are. So we're going to continue hearing this beautiful lecture on the truths, the conceptions, the tattva of Srimati Radharani, given by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj in 1998 in Australia. And we already covered many incredible points. Just to refresh your memory, the different Vaikuntha planets, the speciality of Goloka Vrindavan, right? The different prakoshas or divisions within that, where Radha, one place where Radha and Krishna are actually worshipped in a mood of Aishvarya, where Swakiya mood predominates. Of course, there's Braj itself, the innermost part of Goloka Vrindavan, where the Parakiya conception prevails. And then there's Dwarka, right? Mathura. And we also heard that there are three ways in which the Dham appears. One is Aprakat, which is the Dham in the spiritual world. One is Prakat, the Dham when Krishna appears and makes himself and his abode and his associates visible to everyone who's qualified to go there. And then there's the Drishyamana Dham, which is that Dham which, the way we see it now, this Boma Vrindavan, it's covered to us by a veil of Maya. Because our senses are not purified, we cannot see the Dham as it is, and so we see it in the way that we all see it, with buildings and hogs everywhere, and the apparent chaos. But pure devotees, they may see it in a different way. They can actually get spurtis and visions of the eternal pastimes going on at the same place. We're seeing something totally different, right? And let's see, here's my little thing. And we also heard about some of the specialities of the Upcut Dham. Whereas when Krishna appears here, he appears and he takes birth. He has pastimes as a little baby, a small child, younger boy, older boy. Demons are there. The gopis have husbands. That doesn't manifest directly in the Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual realm. The conception that Krishna took birth is there. The conception that there are demons is there. So all the moods that accompany those things are there. But these things actually take place in sequence in the Dham that's manifested in the material world. And they're also eternal because in any one place in the material world, Krishna's taking birth. At another place, he's a little older. In another place, he's a little older. It's like the sun, it's going around the earth, and at some place it's 1 o'clock, some place it's 2 o'clock, some place it's noon. Krishna's pastimes are going on in sequence everywhere in the material universes. But in the spiritual realm, you don't see that. But they have that feeling. And we talked about how that was sort of described and explained somewhat in Gopal Champu, where the narration of Krishna's Leela in Goloka Vrindavan is going on through the mouths of Madhukant and Snigdhakant. And they're talking about Krishna going to Dwarka. They're talking about different demons. They're talking about Krishna taking birth. And everybody is remembering that, right? And when these narrations are taking place, they're absorbed and actually experiencing it. So it's quite marvelous. Anyway, we also heard a little bit about Krishna and Srimati Radhika and the differences of their relationship in these different aspects of Goloka Vrindavan. But now we're going to hear something more detailed, 3 aspects of Radhika. I remember the first time I heard this, even though this is given in 1998, we didn't have access at that time. All these lectures weren't printed, and I was living outside. And it was only when I moved to India and also wasn't able to go to the parikrams. So when I moved to India, and then I remember the first time hearing this in detail about Srimati Radhika and Mahaprabhu, and their different aspects, and that was in Navadvip, from Gurudev's lotus lips. And I remember being quite astonished in hearing that. It was thrilling to hear this. So, 3 aspects of Radhika. Radha has 3 aspects. As Vrsabhanunandini, Srimati Radhika is never separated from Krishna. We can think of their pastimes as Nitya Lila Ashta Prahara. That is the eternal pastimes divided into 8 3-hour segments. Right? We can think, for example, how Radha is meeting with and serving Krishna in Nishanta Lila, the pastimes of Radha Krishna that take place in the last part of the night before dawn. Oh, how can we think of Nishanta Lila? Well, one way we can think of Nishanta Lila is if we come to Mangalartik every day and sing for the deities and pray that this understanding and awareness gradually grow in our heart. Right? So after Nishanta Lila comes Prata Lila, the early morning pastimes. That's when Krishna is woken up by his mother, right? He's bathed. He goes out early to milk the cows before they go out. Takes his breakfast like that. And then Purvana Lila, the pre-noon pastimes, and they go out after some time in the say mid-morning with all his cowherd boys. At this time, Krishna is going to graze the cows, and Srimati Radhika and all the other gopis are looking at him from various vantage points. Krishna then goes cowherding, and the gopis go to Radhakund and Kusum Sarovara to try to meet him there. They engage in pastimes at Suryakund and other places. They steal the flute from Krishna, and he looks here and there. Oh, where is my Vamsi? Where is my Vamsi? Have you got it? Do you have it? Do you? Oh, have you have it? I will search for it to see if you have taken it or not. And sometimes they engage in gambling pastimes. Srimati Radhika defeats Krishna and all the gopis clap their hands. Actually, we hear many versions of these pastimes because they're infinitely variable, right, and unlimitedly relishable. The flute is stolen in many times in many clever ways. The gambling pastimes take place, the wagering of this and that, the meeting here and there. They're all devising ways to meet Krishna, so they have to give some pretext to their relatives. Oh, we're going to Suryakund to worship Surya Narayan. Yes, you should do. Oh, we're going down to the Jamuna to collect water. Yes, you should do. Oh, we're going to take these milk products to Bhagwari Rishi and others so that they can do their yajna. Yes, you should do. And on the way, they invariably meet Krishna. Sometimes Krishna's with his friends, like when they meet for the Dan Gati pastimes, and Krishna stops them and demands tax, and then the two groups are arguing with each other. Sometimes Krishna leaves the cowherd boys alone and sneaks off without their knowing, right? And cowherd boys, in their prem, they don't have that immediate sense of separation like the gopis. They somehow feel, oh, Krishna's still with us, but it's just behind that tree or he's over there, right? And sometimes he stays with them and also goes to meet with the gopis. Many different ways in which these pastimes take place. And that's the longest time, from later morning until late afternoon. All of this is going on. Later, when Krishna returns home from cow grazing, all the gopis are in Javat, looking at Krishna and performing artik from the corner of their eyes with their sidelong glances. Javat, that's the place where Srimati Radhika lives after getting married to Abhimanyu. Right? After that, they engage in their Sayam Kaliya Lila, the pastimes at dusk. So Krishna's returned home now, right? And at this time, Krishna goes to milk the cows after taking a light evening meal, and the gopis watch this beautiful scene. Srimati Radhika then cooks something in Javat and sends it to Nandagan, where Krishna, along with his father and all his uncles and friends, take prasadam. His remnants are then sent to Srimati Radhika. And later at midnight, Radha and Krishna again meet. In this way, they are never separated from each other, except when Krishna goes cowherding, or when Srimati Radhika is in Man, or when she experiences prem vaicitya. We discussed that yesterday, those three kinds of separation. Man means, jealous anger. So in a pique, in some kind of anger, Radhika won't see Krishna, even though he may want to see her. And that creates a sense of separation, but it's very sweet because then Krishna devises so many clever ways to break her man. And she knows this. Her own emotions governed internally to fulfill Krishna's desire. Radhika's only desire is to make Krishna happy. So whatever she does, it's not like the selfish anger or jealousy that we have in this world. In this world, we express jealousy in a selfish way, right? But Radhika, whatever she does is to make Krishna very happy. So he enjoys it, actually, when she does this, even though it appears to give him some distress. That distress impels him to do many, many clever things. And there's so many pastimes about that. So that's separation from Man. And even Krishna will show Man sometimes, right? When the gopis are singing their Gopi Geet, in the commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami, it alludes to many conversations that Krishna and the gopis have. And sometimes the gopis, in their separation, might criticize Krishna. And then Krishna, hearing this criticism, will reply, "Oh, is that how you feel? I'm leaving and I'm never coming again." and that's his man. And then they become distressed, and then they placate him with another kind of song or prayer. So this quality of man, we see it mostly in Radhika and the gopis, but also Krishna. He has that quality. So then there is the separation when Krishna's with, at his home briefly with the cowherd boys, and they're somewhere else. But that doesn't last that long. And then there is Prem Vaichitya, we discussed this yesterday, where in the intensity of Prem, Srimati Radhika may hear something about Krishna being separated from her or not being there, and even though she's directly with Krishna, she feels separation. And this is the highest. It bewilders everyone. Radhika's bewildered, Krishna becomes bewildered, all their friends become bewildered. Prem Vaichitya. It means the opposite. Even though they're together, they feel they're not. So, after that, they engage in this Sayam Kaliya Leela, pastimes at dusk. At this time, Krishna goes to milk the cows, and after taking a light evening meal, and the gopis watch this beautiful scene. Srimati Radhika then cooks something in Javat and sends it to Nandagan, where Krishna, along with his father and all his uncles and friends, take prasadam. His remnants are then sent to Srimati Radhika, and later at midnight, Radha and Krishna again meet. Right? Dhanishta, or Kundalata, one of the gopis who are serving at the place, at the house of Jashoda and Nanda Maharaj. They're also beloveds of Krishna, but they have more inclination to Krishna than to Radhika. Of course they love Radhika. Every gopi loves Radhika. Even Chandravali loves Radhika. How could they not? Because they're all expansions of Radhika. She expands herself into all these infinite forms of gopis with all these varied and subtle differences in their mood, just to create and expand the pastimes in wonderful ways. So these remnants are given by Jashoda, take Krishna's plate, and Dhanishta, or perhaps Kundalata, will take that plate and then make sure that it's sent to Srimati Radhika. And then she takes, and all of her friends take, and then taking that, they're tasting Krishna's enjoyment and moods that he's experiencing when he's tasting the prasad. When Radhika cooks it, she's cooking with all these different feelings of love. And each different preparation is imbued with a very specific feeling or message even. Right? And Krishna will taste them all and experience that. And then the remnants are taken, and those remnants then contain Radhika's love, Krishna's exchange of love by tasting it, and then Radhika takes it again, tasted by Krishna, and then she gives it to her friends. So it's imbued and filled with all of these different emotions. We are trying to taste and do that when we offer it, when we cook as well. So many times when we cook, we fall into the habit of talking some other nonsense, this and that, laughing and joking, completely forgetting what we're trying to do, right? Oh, yeah, we're cooking, but, remember this, remember that, laugh, laugh, laugh. Or, this is going to be really great. I can't wait to take this. Save me a big piece. That conversation goes on. No, we should always be thinking, this is Radhika's kitchen. She cooks for Krishna. Somehow or other, we're being allowed to assist. They've appeared in this place. They have their house they're living in. We are allowed to cook for them, but we should think that we're only assisting Radhika's own servants, who are our Guru Varga. And somehow or other we're getting to cook, and we're just praying that we don't mess it up, that we make it and that will be pleasing to them. It's not wrong to think of the other Vaishnavas and how to please them as well, but that mood should be there, right? Should pray that this be pleasing to Radha and Krishna. And, how you integrate it, Srila Prabhupada one time said, about maintaining one's life and interacting with society, he said, dress to please others and cook to please yourself. In other words, you have to cook in such a way that the devotees are maintained, nicely nourished, made happy. But remember, the primary enjoyer is Radha and Krishna, right? And the more you think like that, astonishingly, the prasadam will be even more tasty because the remnant will be accepted. Our gurus will accept it. I remember one time when I went to Malaysia, and I got to stay there for 10 days, and Gurudev was there. And he was on sort of retreat. He'd done a big festival. He's been traveling everywhere. And then he wanted some days alone, and devotees were not allowed to come. But there was some special meeting that I was allowed to go to. And after even those devotees had left, it was just a week with Gurudev and his personal servants. With them. Obviously, Brinda Didi was there, Brajanath was there, Madhav Raj was there, and it was just Madhuvrat and, oh God, I cannot remember his name, lives in Indian devotee, was doing translation. I see him standing before me. I'm so bad with names. Anyway, he was there. Nice devotee. Atul? Anyway, and me, and of course the husband and wife. Even their children are not there. So anyway, point being, Madhavrat would cook lunch every day, basically, and for Gurudev, and different devotees would cook also for all the other devotees. And one day I got to cook for the devotees, and I made something, that they had not had ordinarily, and they all really liked it, right? They all really liked it. And then later in the afternoon, Gurudev, who could not take it himself, he was on a very strict diet, but he came and he smiled and he said, "Oh, I heard you cooked such delicious prasadam for the devotees." And he was very happy, right? Because the idea was cooking for Radha and Krishna, but in a way that the devotees would be really happy. Because they were eating, generally rice and dal and all like this. I made some kind of stuffed peppers, stuffed with some cheese and rice and this and that, and a sauce and some other things. And they'd never had that. And so they're all very happy. And then Gurudev was happy, because I tried to make the devotees happy. And I just heard this little short of Srila Prabhupada talking about Krishna will always protect his devotees, uphold his devotees' statements, their vows, all of that. Kantaya pratijanihi name bhakta pranishati, right? I will always, my devotee will never be vanquished. And so Srila Prabhupada said, so it's very good to serve Krishna, but if you serve Krishna's devotee, he's even more pleased, right? You're pleasing Krishna by serving his devotees. The conception is there, yes, I'm serving Krishna, but I'm serving those who are serving Krishna, right? This is Mahaprabhu. Gopi Bhartura Padakamalayar Dasa Dasanudas. I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant. This is very hard for us to understand, because generally we want to be as close to the top as we can be, right? Well, if I can't be the king, I want to be the chief minister, or, the head counselor or something, and then I can boss everybody else. I can't boss the king, but I can boss everybody else. Like the president. His chief of staff is actually the most powerful person in Washington, because he controls access to the president, controls the messages that go out to everybody, sets the schedule. Everybody has to kowtow to him. So even though he's behind the scenes, you don't see him so much. That's the power behind the throne. Right? Okay, but if you can't be that, then I'll be that guy's assistant. The deputy director of this or that. We're always trying to be as close to the top. But in the spiritual realm, somehow or other, and I've struggled for years to understand this, that the manjaris, we hear about Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, fanning directly, all of this. I'd like to do that. But really, somehow, serving those who serve them, is so high. And how do we understand it? Because Krishna is so pleased with those who serve his devotees. But the way it works is that, there's an example given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Radhika is like the creeper, right, around the tamal tree of Krishna. And from her come so many beautiful flowers, which are all her gopis, right? And from the flowers come these beautiful manjaris. And when the wind blows, Radhika is moved, and she experiences the winds of prema. And she moves, the creeper moves. And the flowers move. And then the manjaris within the flowers move, which is a kind of poetic metaphor to show that whatever the creeper is experiencing is passed on to the flowers and then to the manjaris. And so, the further you're removed from the original, the more variety of tastes that you're experiencing, the joy and pleasure. For instance, we're serving our guru. Nobody would dispute that serving your guru is not anything but the greatest ecstasy. But think about it. Our guru internally is serving he's in some special group of manjaris. And that group leader is there. Every group, every gana of gopis has a leader, and then that leader is part of another group, and that group has a leader as part of another group, all the way to Rupa and Rati and those intimate 8 sakis of Rupa Manjari. And so our gurus, we don't know to what extent. We do know that they're intimate in that environment, but when we serve them, who's being pleased? Right? Internally, that collection of great, wonderful, divine, spiritual servants of Srimati Radhika. And so we have first-hand experience. Yeah, serving the servant of the servant is so ecstatic. And when our gurus see us serving their disciples, or the disciples of their friends, don't think just your guru's direct disciples, they have a much broader and intimate relationship. We may see with sectarian eyes, we're in this group, they're in that group, I'm only going to serve here. No, but if you have that mood of affection and service to all the Vaishnavas with the understanding that we're all part of the same broader community of Mahaprabhu, then that's very special. Obviously, you serve primarily within your own group. You get your guidance from your guru and your guru's senior representatives and servants, but you still have the broader vision of appreciation for all Vaishnavas. What to speak of the Vaishnavas in this little community, right? And it's so disheartening to see, even in such a small group, devotees arguing and criticizing one another. What's the use of that? It makes you unhappy because you're always seeing faults. They're doing this. They're doing that. Why can't they see things exactly like me? No, Krishna doesn't want everybody to see things exactly like you. You're one little manjari. There are so many, or servant of the manjari. We're not manjaris yet. But he wants the diversity, wants the speciality, right? There was a author, a material author, he wrote about success in business, success in relationships. And he said, celebrate the differences, right? Celebrate the difference. Don't criticize it, celebrate it. And when you see other Vaishnavas, rather than trying to detect the fault, try to see all the glories. Srila Prabhupada used to say, a Vaishnava is like a white sheet. And so even if there's a single spot of ink, you'll see that, right? But are you going to focus on that little tiny apparent fault? Or are you going to focus on the entirety of that person's service, character, quality, service, inspiration? It does us much better to meditate on the good rather than the bad, because the good, then we try to emulate, right? And follow, become inspired by. The bad, we just become discouraged and angry. And actually, if you do meditate on people's bad qualities, what happens? Your mind is resting in that environment, and it takes on those qualities itself. And even applying that principle even to, things going on in the regular world. Oh, this politician, oh, that guy at the store, this guy there. If you allow that critical mentality and think, well, they're just karmis, who cares? We should criticize them. That tendency towards criticism, your mind is molded in that way, and it will apply in your spiritual dealings as well. We should be free from that in all of our dealings. And then you're not suffering. You go on Facebook every day, you see devotees arguing, posting some angry diatribe against this politician or this policy or that policy. So foolish. I mean, there have been people like this from the beginning of time. What is it, you can criticize them all in 50 years. They're going to be dead. Nobody's going to remember them. You're going to be dead. And the only memory of all that will be contained in your mind that you have to carry to your next life. And that same tendency. No, meditate on Radha and Krishna, right? And the beautiful pastimes of our Guru Varga, right? Don't waste your energy like that. So then they're going to meet at midnight. So we've heard the whole day. Radha and Krishna again meet. In this way, they are never separated from each other except when Krishna goes cow herding or when Srimati Radhika is in Man or when she experiences Prem Vaicitya. So, this Radhika, who is always with Krishna, is Vrsabhanunandini. When Krishna goes to Mathura, however, she is Viyogini. V means not, right? Like sometimes when we're in India, we get called Videshi, right? A Deshi is a native, a citizen, someone who lives there, right? An Indian. A Videshi, it's like an insult. They're not one of us. And almost every culture has that. Native cultures, that when they have this word means the real people, the native people of this land, and then they got a word for the others, right? Some kind of outsider word. So, but Viyogini means she's not meeting, right? She feels separation. And after Mathura, Krishna goes to Dwarka. Oh wait, I missed a sentence. So, this Radhika, who is always with Krishna, is Vrsabhanunandini. When Krishna goes to Mathura, however, she is Viyogini. Viyogini Radha is actually a manifestation of that same Vrsabhanunandini Radhika, right? And after Mathura, Krishna goes to Dwarka. And this Viyogini feels separation and laments, where is Krishna? So that is also a naimictic lila, right? This kind of intense, prolonged separation doesn't exist in Goloka Vrindavan. It exists in this special Vrindavan. It's a speciality. And Jiva Goswami says these specialities of his birth, childhood pastimes, and killing of demons, but especially the variety of prem that it gives to the gopis, in some ways it makes this Boma Vrindavan superior to the spiritual Vrindavan, even though they're the same and non-different, the variety of pastimes that they can experience. So she's Viyogini, and he's going to say, she is always weeping in separation from him, sometimes at Uddhav and sometimes other places. Remember hearing the pastime when Uddhava came to pacify the Brajbasis at Krishna's request, and especially to meet with the gopis and try to understand something of their love. So when he came back, Krishna would have someone to speak with who could console him. He wanted Uddhava to go to the school of Srimati Radhika, school of the gopis. Radhika is the what would you call it, the principal of the school, and the other gopis headed by Lalita and Vishaka, they're like the professors, right? So she is always in separation from him at Uddhav and sometimes other places. But this only takes place in Prakat Lila, not in Aprakat. In Aprakat, there is only a conception that Krishna has left Vrindavan. There is no pastime of Krishna actually leaving. This is because in Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna neither leaves Vrindavan forever nor for 108 years. Never. Rather, for the residents of Vrindavan, is like a dream in which they think, oh, Krishna has gone. Sometimes remembering that pastime, because they did experience it in this realm, and nothing is subjected to past, present, and future there. So sometimes they're actually thinking, oh, Krishna's gone, right? The third aspect of Radhika is Samyogini Radhika. That manifestation of Radhika who leaves Vrindavan and goes to Kurukshetra to meet Krishna and bring him back. Sam means like meeting, right? Like Sambhog, Ichamai, those gopis who want to please Krishna and satisfy him by being with him, by acting as his direct lovers. So Samyogini means again they're going to meet. But it's different than meeting in Vrindavan. They go to Kurukshetra after so many years. You should understand that Vrsabhanunandini and Viyogini Radhika never leave Vrindavan. Never, never, and never. Just as Brajendranandan Krishna and Rohini Nandan Ram, Balaram, are always playing in Vrindavan, never leaving it for a moment, so Vrsabhanunandini and Viyogini Radhika also never leave Vrindavan. Samyogini Radhika, however, feeling so much separation, Viyog, go to Kurukshetra to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan. This is Samyogini Radhika. That's what this Kurukshetra Leela is so replete with so many subtle philosophical conceptions, the nature of prema experienced there. And that's why this Radha Tattva ceremony, which is representative of the gopis going to Kurukshetra, feeling a lack there, because it represents Dwarka and calling him back. Come to Vrindavan. That is the only place that you can truly be happy. They're calling him back. It appears they're calling him back for their own satisfaction, but actually they know Krishna's desire can only be fulfilled fully in Vrindavan. They're calling back for him. So, three aspects of Mahaprabhu. Okay, so how does Mahaprabhu relate to all of this? Because Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna absorbed in the moods of Srimati Radhika, right? So, Radhika has three manifestations. How do those relate to Mahaprabhu? Yeah, this is what we were hearing, I mentioned in Navadvip, when he was talking about Mahaprabhu like this. Now, I want to come to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. I have explained Radharani and I have given examples. So now you will be able to understand the nature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, who took the beauty and mood of Radhika. In other words, in taking her beauty and mood, Krishna came in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Shachinandana Gaura Hari. For this reason, there are three aspects of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is always in Navadvip. Always. He never leaves. This is why Navadvip is called Vrindavan. So just as Krishna never leaves, Vrindavanam paritagya na padam ekam na ekam paragachati. Krishna never leaves. Mahaprabhu never leaves. Right? Because they're not different, Navadvip and Vrindavan. They are different in the kind of pastimes that are performed, but Vrindavan is in Navadvip and Navadvip is in Vrindavan. Nityananda Prabhu explained this to Jiva Goswami. You can read in Navadvip Mahatmya, telling him, oh, this place of Godrum, this is like Nandagan. This Koladvip, this is like Govardhan. Many different places telling what corresponds to what. And great personalities will sometimes see Vrindavan pastimes in Navadvip. And one time Gurudev had us perform Gaur Purnima and Parikram at the time when we generally do Navadvip Parikram, we were in Vrindavan. And he was experiencing some special moods in that. Jai Mataji, joy, joy, joy. So, for this reason, there are also three aspects of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is always in Navadvip. Always, he never leaves. This is why Navadvip is called Vrindavan. In Navadvip, there are 9 islands which contain the 12 forests of Braj. Okay? Vrindavan, Madhuvan, Talavan, Kumudavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Kadiravan, Bhadravan, Bandiravan, Bilvavan, Mahavan, and Lohavan. Besides this, the 12 Upavanas, the subforests, and 12 Adivanas are also present. These 36 vanas or forests are present in Navadvip. In Navadvip, however, these forests are not situated in the same order as in Vrindavan. Some are here, some are there. So there's some mixture of, like in Godrum, there's a mixture, right? In one place it's just Nandagan, but in other places, in that same Godrum, there are other aspects that appear in different forests, right? That are not there in Nandagan, and the same everywhere. So Vrindavan, Kumudavan, Madhuvan, Talavan, and so on are situated in differently than they are in Braj. Mayapur, for example, is a combination of Gokul and Mathura, where Krishna took birth and appeared. And Govardhan Hill is in Koladweep, where our Devananda Gaudiya Math is situated. This is when, we were still all part of the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, and that was the main mat for our group, Devananda Gaudiya Math. It's still part of our group, but just in the sense that I described before. They are separated institutionally, but in mind and heart, we're all pursuing the same goal. We are all connected to the same traditions and Guru Parampara. So, and many beautiful, if you ever read the Guru Darshan book of, that was published by the devotees at Radha Kunj, there are so many extraordinary pastimes that happened at that Devananda Gaudiya Math from the time that it was built and all the different things that happened there. With Gurudev, with Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, Srivaman Maharaj, others. Yeah. It's well worth it to read this history. There was a time when I was reading this book for our class that I had on the internet, and I could not believe the moods that it created in me just by reading them, the sense of connection and intimacy with Srila Gurudev that it gave. Sometimes devotees argue, well, that's not the way the pastime happened. That's not true. But you know what? When you read Ananda Vrindavan Champu, Gopal Champu, Srimad Bhagavatam, you read the same pastime in 3-4 different ways. So is somebody right, somebody wrong? Or is it that in love there may be different perspectives? Or they may see the pastime differently, or it may have happened in many different ways, right? Gurudev's transcendental personality. And all I know is that when I read that book, I feel so deeply attached to Gurudev. It's just a wonderful, wonderful book. Anyway, that was stimulated by hearing about Devananda Gaudiya Math. Because he had many pastimes there. So, this is Koladweep. The Rasa Stali, the place of the Rasa dance, is located. In the lap of Govardhan, Rasa Leela is so high class. Radha Kund is in Ritadweep, and Bandiravan is present in Modradrumadweep, which is on the other side of the Ganga. In this way, all the forests are there. None of these forests are in Puri, and therefore it is Nabadweep, which is non-different from Vrindavan. All of Mahaprabhu's eternal pastimes in the 8 praharas are in Nabadweep, and he never leaves there. So just as Krishna has pastimes in the 8 parts of the day, Ashtakaliya Leela. So Mahaprabhu has his own Ashtakaliya Leela. Anyway, we're going to have to stop here because I rambled on too much before. But I think if I just read, then, people kind of glaze over. And I like to fill in a little bit too, these things. So we'll stop here and we'll continue again tomorrow. We're going to have our Guru Puja, and then we're going to have a little short Ishtagoshti about our service, right, to our Gurus. So let me say goodbye to our local internet group. Let me close off here first. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Gurudev, Jai Sri Guru Varga, Radha Tattva, all devotees.